So let's get ready now. ShakaRa is with us. We stand with Haiti. This is time now to open the doors of this young brother. I've seen this brother grow from a young boy into a beautiful man. And it was his father that woke me up to my Pan-African nature. And I will never forget this brother and his family. Brothers and sisters, ShakaRa is in the house, looking crispy, looking black, looking revolutionary. He is here with us. ShakaRa, Wagwan Rasta.
Greetings, brother Andrew Tenda and Wari. It's a pleasure to be here. It's more than a pleasure, it's an honor, my brother. Just as you said, you actually went college with my father and my mother. And so, it's a thing where, the people say that we know you from before you know yourself. You know what I'm saying? In that respect. So you're definitely a key aspect of my growth and development as a young man. And I've known you all my life, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here, because there are many people that I've seen from I was born, brother Andrew, and not all of them are here doing this work, brother Andrew. And so we want to honor you, and honor to your brother as well, my brother Michael Muhammad as well, you know what I'm saying, for the work that you have both put into the community. And because of that, it is an extreme honor for me to be here. I've been hearing brother Andrew. I've been here a couple of times, but even when I'm not here, I'm here. This is the place to be. Yeah, on a Tuesday, brother Andrew. You know what I'm saying? Yes, so nice. So it's good to be in the house and share the vibration with the brothers and sisters. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings. Brothers and sisters are still coming through the door. We got over 300 live attendees on laptops. At the end of the show, we get the full count. That includes iPads, phones, whatever you can. But we got over 300 plus now. And people are still coming through the door because they've come to hear one man. They've come to hear one man tonight, Brother ShakaRa. Brother Shak, I'm going to keep my mouth quiet now, King. You've still got your full time that I allocated to you, brother, so I'm not talking into your time at all. You've got your time, brother. And I'm saying it's an honor, brother, for you and from us to host you here tonight. We love the work that you're doing. I'm a keen fan of yours, brother. I use the word fan. I'm a keen fan of yours. You have some of the greatest, sometimes the most funniest excerpts that you put on Instagram, Facebook. I watch you, brother. You don't see me watching you, but I do watch you, brother. And your role playing, you use your gift of best known, was it best kept secret days?
Yes.
You're a poet, you're an artist, and you're still using all of your talent, and you're speaking the same fire that you've been blessed to be nurtured with your mother and your father being on the forefront of our movement. So, brother, as I say, we're not speaking into your time. Your time starts when you start, my king, and take your time. I think I've given you hosting rights, brother. So if you want to share the screen,
yes, sir.
that is all yours. So, brother, I bow to you and I welcome you onto Hidden Truth. All yours, King.
Thank you very much, brother Andrew. Tenda and Wadi, be thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe. Kudzai Mudzimu Mukuru. We give praises unto our great ancestors. Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahodiye, African power and African liberation for all African people. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Aibobo Bon Komba, Aibobo Bon Komba, Aibobo Bon Komba. We affirm that we are in a fight as African people, and we assert that our fight will be well, brothers and sisters. We will fight well in the name of our ancestors. And as I open, let me also say, Mojuba, we honor the life of Brother Ray Lewis and his family. And we give thanks for all of the work that our brother did in the community. I was not aware of his passing until just now, Brother Andrew. So thank you for bringing his spirit to the proceedings. And once again, we say Mojuba, honor to Brother Ray Lewis, and condolences to his family. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to get straight into it because, we're dealing with a very deep subject, a subject that spans a history of well over 200 years. And so it's necessary to be in depth, but also concise, brothers and sisters. So let me get into it straight away. But before I actually begin the specifics of the presentation, I want to engage a brief exercise because I know the chat is active, and I want to say big up to everybody in the chat, because I need some of your skills, brothers and sisters. You know, during when our brother Gus was doing the workout, plenty typing was going on in the chat. So I need some of your skills, brothers and sisters, because I need to learn how to do that workout and type so proficiently at the same time, brothers and sisters. So somebody, you know, have to give me a class, you know, for do that still. But as you're typing, brothers and sisters, yeah, just give me, so I have an idea of where to pitch the energy and the vibration. Give me a score out of 1 to 5, yeah, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest, right? 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest, in terms of your knowledge and understanding on the history of Haiti, and the current political situation taking place in Haiti. Don't feel shame. This is not an exercise in basically trying to lord one's knowledge over other people, but it's necessary for us to just gauge where our brothers and sisters are at. Okay, thank you very much. They're coming in thick and fast. I've got an idea. So there's a lot of 2s and 3s. One person put a 6, you know what I'm saying? So that for them knowledge gone far, gone clear, you know what I mean? So we give thanks, yeah. But hopefully, by the time I've ended this hour, there will be something to have been learned from every brother and sister in the chat, maybe except for the person who wrote number 6, all right? You know what I'm saying? But we're going to get into it anyway. And finally, if there are any brothers and sisters who are actually from Haiti, sons and daughters of Haiti, please give me either a Black Power fist or a Haiti flag in the chat. I just want to see if there's any Haiti brothers and sisters in the chat, and we want to just honor you. And we know that if you have family in Haiti, the situation there is very, very, the nation is in crisis, brothers and sisters. So we want to make it clear that in standing with Haiti, we also stand with you, brothers and sisters, wherever you may be in the world. And wherever we are in the world as African people, it is our duty to overstand what is taking place in Haiti. Yes, because Haiti has a very serious history as far as we are concerned. And so we want to say, Aïe Bobo, vive liberté, abat esclavage. Long live freedom, liberation, independence. And down with enslavement, down with colonialism, down with neo-colonialism. I'm going to share my screen now. And so we can get into our presentation, brothers and sisters. And I give thanks once again for all those, especially those who are here, because normally I'm live today on gotkushTV at this time, but I got the call, and so I had to just postpone my thing and be here with you all, brothers and sisters, as a Hidden Truth family. And, you know, as I said, I was honored to get the call. And so for those who have followed me here, because you would normally be live with me on gotkushTV, I thank you for being here also, brothers and sisters. All right. And so assuming that everybody can see my screen, it says it's sharing correctly. So if it's not showing, then somebody let me know.
We can see it.
But giving thanks, my brother. Clearly. Giving thanks. We stand with Haiti. We stand with Haiti. As I said, brothers and sisters, this is a very long history. And I was debating how deep to go. But it's necessary, yeah, for us in appreciating what is happening in Haiti today to understand the history of Haiti. And the story begins as far as we're going to begin today, in the year 1791. And in the year 1791, there were two Africans on this beautiful island of Haiti who came in the great line of divine of Africans who had been fighting against enslavement and colonialism ever since we were invaded on the shores of Mama Africa, ever since we were trafficked across the ocean, and ever since those ships docked in what became known as the Americas, the New World, brothers and sisters. In 1791, a great woman by the name of Cecile Fatiman, who was a mambo, a so-called priestess in the Vodou tradition that our ancestors brought from Mama Africa, was searching for leaders among the people. She was traveling from plantation to plantation and gathering men, women, and warriors to be able to fight against the system of enslavement, brothers and sisters, on the island of Haiti. And one of the men that she found was an ancestor who was enslaved on the island of Jamaica, Brap. You don't know. the island of Jamaica, brothers and sisters, but he was a rebellious African on the island of Jamaica. And so the men who would presume themselves his master could not handle him and could not control him. And so they sent him to the island that at that time was known as Santo Domingo, and various other colonial titles, brothers and sisters. And that man became known as Bookman Dutty. And these two Africans were among the leaders of what became known as the Haiti Revolution that kicked off in the year 1791. They planned and organized a rebellion against enslavement. And their planning and organizing, the follow-up to their planning and organizing was an actual ceremony in the Vodou tradition, whereby the energy, the spirit force of Ogun, and the energy, the spirit force of Ezili Danto was evoked to empower our brothers and sisters, our people in Haiti. And at that particular ceremony, which took place in an alligator swamp in Boakeman in Haiti, our great Hungan priest of the Vodou tradition in Haiti said these words, brothers and sisters. He said, "Good God who created the earth, who created the sun that gives us light, the God who holds up the ocean, who makes the thunder roar, our God has ears to hear. You who are hidden in the clouds, who watch us from where you are, you see all that the whites have made us suffer. The white man's God asked him to commit crimes, but the God within us wants to do good. Our God, who is good, so just, he orders us to revenge our wrongs. It is he who will direct our arms and bring us the victory. It is he who will assist us. Throw away the image of the white man's God, who is so cruel and pitiless, and listen to the God, the voice of liberty that speaks in all our hearts." And shortly after this proclamation, brothers and sisters, our people went to war against the enemy. We honor all of the ancestors who fought in that rebellion. We honor the indigenous people of Haiti, who after Christopher Columbus arrived in the late 1400s, a genocide was committed against them, brothers and sisters. We honor the indigenous people. We honor Macandal, one of the predecessors to the Haiti Revolution. We honor Cecile Fatima. We honor Bookman Dutty. We honor Toussaint Louverture, one of the leaders of the Haiti Revolution. We honor Mama Senit Belair. We honor Albaraya Toya, women warriors in the Haiti Revolution. And among the great line of divine of leaders of the Haiti Revolution is the man, the first emperor of Haiti, the man who finished the battle. And our brothers and sisters in the midst of this war defeated not only the French, who were the primary colonizers of the island of Haiti, they also defeated the Spanish. They also defeated the British. All three of these great superpowers, brothers and sisters, the greatest military might in the world at that time was defeated by our African ancestors, our enslaved African ancestors in the island of Haiti. We also honor our maroon ancestors on the island of Haiti, because if it was not for our maroon ancestors, the battle would not have been won. But we must honor, brothers and sisters, a man by the name of Jean-Jacques Dessalines, the man who took over after the assassination of Toussaint Louverture and completed this mission, this revolution, brothers and sisters. They call him Dessalines the Ferocious, because he was ferocious in the face of the enemy. And even after, brothers and sisters, the revolution was successful in the year 1804, and independence was declared on the 1st of January, 1804, Dessalines understood that that was only the first battle that had been won, because he gathered his war generals and the people of Haiti, and he said to them, it is not enough to have expelled the barbarians who have bloodied our land for 2 centuries. It is not enough to have restrained those ever-evolving factions that one after the other, mocked the specter of liberty that France dangled before you. That means, you know, instead of they give you compromises to true freedom and true liberation. Yes, this specter that they dangle before our eyes. We must, with one last act of national authority, forever assure the empire of liberty in the country of our birth. We must take any hope of re-enslaving us away from the inhuman government that for so long kept us in the most humiliating torpitude or torpor. In the end, we must live independent or die. He says, liberty or death, independence or death. Let these sacred words unite us and be the signal of battle and of our reunion. And so Jean-Jacques Dessalines understood that even though the revolution had been won, that the enslaver, the colonizer, the Bakra, was not going to allow our people in Haiti to just live and grow as African people should be able to do. So we had to always be on guard. And unfortunately, there was enough destabilization and turncoat behavior from within. And that resulted in Jean-Jacques Dessalines being assassinated in the year 1806. But brothers and sisters, the one of the men who Jean-Jacques Dessalines defeated is a man who is known as one of the greatest war generals the world has ever seen. He was slapped up and sent packing by Jean-Jacques Dessalines and the ancestors of Haiti. And this quotation is taken from a book called Avengers of the New World by a historian called Laurent Dubois. And he's detailing the consciousness of the European powers as expressed by Napoleon Bonaparte in 1803, brothers and sisters, when he was planning to try and re-invade Haiti and take over the island before Jean-Jacques Dessalines sent him packing. But he says Bonaparte's government presented the expedition to San Domingo as a crusade of civilized people of the West against the black barbarians or black barbarism that was on the rise in America. Africans all over the Americas were uprising. He says in his instructions to Leclerc, Leclerc was his brother-in-law and the war general that he sent to Haiti to fight. Yes. In his instructions to Leclerc, Bonaparte noted that, quote, the Spanish, the English, and the Americans also are dismayed by the existence of this Black Republic. Now, bear in mind, brothers and sisters, that at this time, the whole of England, the whole of Europe in war with one another. That especially England and France, they were warring with each other on and off consistently throughout this point. But Bonaparte knew enough about his European brethren to know that the Spanish, the English, and the Americans are also dismayed by the existence of this Black Republic, unquote, and encouraged him, that's Leclerc, to impress upon administrators in other Caribbean colonies the quote-unquote common advantage to the Europeans of destroying this rebellion of the blacks. This was the consciousness from that time, brothers and sisters. So Haiti declared its independence. All of these European nations refused to recognize Haiti's independence. There were trade embargoes levied against Haiti. Whilst Haiti was sending out the call that not only would it free itself, but any African who arrived on the shores of Haiti would be found free and declared free. Jean-Jacques Dessalines put out the call to the enslavers that they can bring their captives to Haiti and he will pay for them. But once they reach and he pays for them, they will live free as African people. He even supported other islands with the proviso. He supported other islands in decolonizing themselves with the proviso that they end slavery, brothers and sisters. Time doesn't allow to go into the extent of the history, but whilst all of that was going on, these European powers were organizing amongst themselves to recapture Haiti and ensure that the first, what they call the first free Black Republic in the Western Hemisphere is never a vision of success for African people around the world, brothers and sisters. We get to, cutting a long story short, we get to 1825. And in 1825, France sails to Haiti. I should have say, brothers and sisters, that the name Haiti is the name that the indigenous people of the island gave to the island. And when Jean-Jacques Dessalines declared independence, he renamed the island Haiti in honor of the indigenous people who had been genocided against. That's what we do as African people, brothers and sisters. We honor the indigenous people of the land. But in 1825, France regrouped now, sails to Haiti with 14 ships. And let it be known that it was at war with Britain in and around this period. And in order to sail to Haiti unharmed, it had to seek permission from Britain, because Britain had the biggest and the baddest navy in the world. Rule Britannia, Britannia rules the waves. Britain had the baddest navy, so France had to seek permission and safe passage from the United Kingdom of Great Britain to sail to Haiti with 14 ships carrying 528 cannons, brothers and sisters. And when they reached, they demanded, quote unquote, compensation, indemnity, yes, reparations for loss of property, because our ancestors dared to liberate themselves 19 years previously. Haiti ended up being indebted to France for 150 million gold francs, later reduced to 90 million gold francs. But in a sense, the reduction was null and void, because Haiti had to take out many loans to pay the debt, many loans at high interest. And until 1947, Haiti gave to France, as the penalty for having liberated itself, somewhere between 20 and $30 billion in today's money, brothers and sisters. You know, this was like when I'm saying The Godfather, you know, when the Godfather say he had a meeting and they gave them an offer they couldn't refuse. That's what France was dealing with at this point, brothers and sisters. They came to Haiti with over 500 cannons and threatened the people of Haiti to pay this debt at the threat of war. And so ever since then, Haiti has been in an economic stranglehold, first as a result of French incursion, and then later, though even at this point the Americans were collaborating with France, later the Americans took up the reign in terms of keeping Haiti in the economic stranglehold, brothers and sisters. I hope you are all with me. We fast forward just a little under 100 years later with the US occupation of Haiti. I'm going through the history because we need to understand that what we see in Haiti today is directly linked to all of these atrocities, brothers and sisters, that were committed by these Europeans. And all of it will become clear as we get to more closer up to today's time. Between 1915 and 1934, the US invaded and occupied the island of Haiti. This is a very little known aspect of Haiti history. Literally, the nation of Haiti was under direct occupation from the US government and its military for the better part of 20 years. Just before they actually formally invaded, the US Marines went into Haiti and stole over $500,000 worth in gold from the gold reserves of Haiti. That's over 14 million in today's money, brothers and sisters. Yes, the US bought the debt that Haiti now was being forced to pay to France. And I should also note that at some stages of that time, brothers, it's between 1825 and 1947, over 80% of Haiti's national budget was used for servicing the debt. The illegitimate debt imposed by French enslavers and colonizers. Over 80% of its national budget was used to service that debt. So America jumped in, bought the debt, and now Haiti is indebted to America. America invades, they institute martial law, they institute Jim Crow, segregation, as they've already established it in America. They kill government officials. They kill ordinary Haiti people who are protesting and demonstrating and rising up against the invasion. They even bombed the rural areas of Haiti from the air because even the farmers began to rise up against them between 1915 and 1934. And they aerial bombed the rural areas of Haiti from the air, brothers and sisters. And when they decimated the people, they created a new police force that was doing the bidding of the United States of America called the Gendarmerie. Bear this in mind. This is the beginning of a paramilitary force in the pocket of the United States of America, brothers and sisters, in Haiti. It was created directly by the Americans and continued to serve FIDEM agenda from that time until now. I hope ones and ones are appreciating and understanding the depth of this history. They also rewrote the Constitution. The Haiti Constitution of 1805 that was penned by the cabinet of Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines the Ferocious. One of the laws in that constitution was that no white man would ever step foot on the island of Haiti with the title of master, which meant, in practical terms, that no white man could own land in Haiti. And Dessalines nationalized the land and gave it, apportioned it among the people. Land reform gave the people access to land. And the American government between 1915 and 1934 rewrote the Constitution specifically for the purpose of removing that particular aspect of the Constitution and allowing Western banks and Western corporations to flood into Haiti, destroy its agricultural sector, destroy its banking sector. And the 500,000 that of gold that was stolen, we know where they're today. That gold, yes, is sitting in America today in Citibank, brothers and sisters. I want to know overstand what I'm going right here now. We said we know where the gold there. It is in the Citibank right now in America. In fact, it was instrumental to the sustenance and maintenance of Citibank, brothers and sisters. This bank continues to wax itself rich off of the stolen wealth of our people in Haiti. There are other banks in France. I forget the name of the bank, but it's the bank that contributed to the funding of the Eiffel Tower. Yes, so we go to France and we go visit the Eiffel Tower. That particular monument was funded by funds stolen and appropriated from our people in Haiti, brothers and sisters. I saw the thing go. Yes. We fast forward, brothers and sisters. Now, I've dealt with 1915 to 1934. The Americans, military left after that point, but America still maintained control of the financial sector, of the agricultural sector, and of the government from between 1934 to 1947, because they were dominating once again. They had bought the debt, yes, from France. And so they were controlling Haiti's finances to the point whereby they were even, Haiti's money was even being printed in America. Then between 1947 and 1957, they began to organize the elite in Haiti. And in 1957, they directly installed a puppet government in Haiti under the leadership of this demon that you see on the left-hand side of your screen. His name is Francois Duvalier, known popularly as Papa Doc. Time doesn't allow to go into his history, brothers and sisters. too tough, except to say that he was an extreme puppet of American empire and developed a paramilitary unit. Remember now, the Americans already created the Gendarmerie. Papa Doc created the Tonton Macoute, which was a personal paramilitary unit designed to terrorize the people of Haiti, because the people of Haiti have never stopped fighting against any form of oppression. And so he declares himself president for life in the year 1964, I do believe. And he reigned in Haiti until 1971. Shortly before his death, he changed the constitution in a manner that would allow him to appoint his son, who was, I believe, only 19 years old at the time, to the presidency. And so Jean-Claude Duvalier takes over. His name popularly is Baby Doc, and he continues the terrorist regime of his father as a puppet of the United States of America, as a puppet of France, brothers and sisters. But the people again rise up. The people again rise up. And the people rising up in the year 1986 results in Baby Doc, Jean-Claude Duvalier, having to flee the nation. And guess where he fled to, brothers and sisters? Guess where he fled to? Let me see if anybody can guess where Baby Doc fled to. Guess where Baby Doc fled when the people of Haiti rose up? Where did Baby Doc flee to? Yes, indeed, brothers and sisters, the United States of America, because he was their puppet. That's where he fled for 4 years. There was a military transitional government, brothers and sisters, and in the year 1990, the people of Haiti had organized themselves to the extent that they were able to host the first free and fair election in the history of Haiti. And as a result of that election, brothers and sisters, a man by the name of Jean-Bertrand Aristide was elected as president of Haiti. First democratically elected president of Haiti. And immediately as he begins his presidency, he seeks to bring the military in the form of the Gendarmerie and the form of the Tonton Macoute under control. Yes, he tries to institute, because bearing in mind now that these entities were beholden to the Haiti elite. They were in the pocket of the Haiti elite. And he tries, yes, to disband those formations by investigating the crimes of those formations. He begins to investigate the accounts of the Haiti elite. He tries to institute what they call a civilian police force. Yes? A force that serves the interests of the masses of the people, as opposed to the wealthy elite in Haiti that had been well cultivated by the American government in particular. His first presidency only lasts for 8 months as a result, brothers and sisters. The American government, the French government began to fund opposition, and not legitimate opposition, but mischievous opposition in the country, and caused so much unrest that it justified them literally coming into the country and removing Aristide from the country in 1991. To cut a long story short, Aristide is exiled for the next 4 years. But the people of Haiti are protesting and demonstrating in Haiti, and the people of Haiti who are living in America are kicking up noise in relation to the American government, because even though the American government was denying it, it was well understood that because he was not serving their interest, he was removed from power. And so it was considered to be strategically beneficial at the time under the presidency of William Clinton, Bill, that returning Aristide to Haiti was a better prospect than keeping him in exile, because the people are only going to continue to rise up. But they returned Aristide to Haiti with a force of about 20,000 US troops. Now, the Haiti constitution says that you can't serve consecutive terms. After you got a 5-year term and you have to leave office, and then if you want to run again, you can run again for a second term, and then that's it. But Aristide was ousted and kidnapped within not even a year of his first term, brothers and sisters. When he arrived back, the American government only allowed him to serve another year in office to live out the rest of the term as it began in 1991, as opposed to restarting the clock from when he was actually ousted and exiled from the country. So Aristide served, yes, up until 96, he had to come out of office. He runs again in the year 2000 for the 2000 election and wins. Highest turnout in the history of the country. 60% of the electorate turns out and gives Aristide over 90% of the vote. At this point, Aristide had started a new party called Lavalas. Family. Lavalas is translated as things like flood or torrent. Yes, the torrent, the flood of the family. And this became a mass movement among the Haiti people. Before anybody was ever elected, this became a mass movement among the Haiti people, serving the Haiti people. And so when it came to election time, over 90% of those who voted for Family Lavalas. During Aristide's term, from 1991, cut short, 1996 to 2000 to 2004, some of the things that he was able to do. Yeah, this is very important now. By the way, note the dates. Yeah, note the dates. 1991, 200 years. Yes. After the Haiti Revolution kicked off in 1791. Note that, brothers and sisters. Aristide built 195 new primary schools and 104 new secondary schools. Reduced infant mortality. Disbanded the army. Continued that work. He doubled the minimum wage. This was a key thing that angered the American government, because the American government and its corporations were using Haiti for cheap labor so that its corporations can wax themselves rich off of the bodies of our people in Haiti. And so they had big debates about this. And I think Aristide wanted to increase the minimum wage well over this point, because a significant amount of the population in Haiti at that time was existing on under $1 a day. They did not want Aristide to raise the minimum wage. He did it. He also instituted land reform and other programs to develop and increase the agricultural sector, the fishing sector, the boating sector, all kinds of different things. Time doesn't allow us to go into the details, brothers and sisters, because Aristide also had to make some compromises here as well. Partly because, like I said, he was brought back with 20,000 US military troops. And at that time, they began to fund and arm dissident groups to destabilize the nation. And so therefore, Family Lavalas as a mass movement was being attacked and aggressed physically and militarily by these groups, these paramilitary organizations that were being funded by America during this time. And so there were certain compromises that Aristide made because he didn't want to see the people dying. He wanted to stop the death and the violence that was beginning to well up in Haiti, brothers and sisters. Yes? Again, time doesn't allow to go into the depth of the history, but understand that this period is very complex. But there are three things that Aristide did that was very noteworthy, brothers and sisters. He was the first president to speak to the people in Creole, Haitian Creole, whereas most all of the presidents before him, the politicians before him, spoke in French, and the majority of the Haiti population does not speak French. The majority speaks Creole. Yes? Aristide was the first to speak to the people them in them language. He also made Vodou an official religion in Haiti. It's something that was not allowed because in the late 1800s, 1860 something, I believe, the Catholic Church became in charge of the entire education system in Haiti. And so they began to suppress the Vodou religion, and then the Vodou religion became demonized in the context of Hollywood. But Aristide and his family Lavalas elevated Vodou to a status of respectability within the nation, brothers and sisters. And if you understand anything about the role of Vodou to the Haiti revolution and Haiti culture, we will understand how important this is. And then he put out the call in 2003, leading up to the bicentenary celebrations of the success of the revolution, the independence of Haiti in 2004. He called a council together to study the economy of Haiti and the colonial debt that had been imposed on Haiti. And coming out of that conference, he began to demand, I believe it was in April of 2003, he first put out the call, brothers and sisters, that Haiti must return the money, the debt that it imposed. Sorry, France must return that money to Haiti and pay reparations and restitution to Haiti for the crime of subjugating and strangling the nation with this debt. Well, this galvanized the forces of Western imperialism more than ever before, whereas they were funding criminal groups in Haiti, using the elite to do so. They began to put that program into overdrive, brothers and sisters, and create unrest in the nation. I remember this well, because in 2003, many brothers and sisters were planning from the UK in the Pan-African community, were planning to go to Haiti to celebrate the 200-year anniversary of the independence of Haiti. But coming throughout the year 2003, there was a lot of unrest in Haiti. And the Western media began to paint John Bertrand Aristide as a tyrannical dictator, a violent, barbaric savage in office, and generate public opinion in the Western world against this man to justify another invasion, brothers and sisters. The people them going at the man country and took him from the nation. Now I'm going to play a couple of videos to explain what happens next. For those who have children around, the next video that I play has a little bit of bad language, some bad word in there. Yeah, you'll understand why in a second. So apologies, I wasn't able to edit it out, but I'm letting you know from now so you can do what you need to do as far as your children is concerned. It's not terrible, but you'll understand the context when I get to it, brothers and sisters, all right? But my father tells the story of what happened next very well. And so I'm going to allow him to tell the story. He was on Sister Sanice's show last week, and he told the story very well. So let me put this story in the mouth of my father, and then we'll continue.
Now listen to this. American troops actually came to Aristide's home and removed him from his home. Think about that for a moment. Removed him and his wife and others from his home. Think about that for a moment, beloved brothers and sisters. Now, they took him from his home, threatening him that if he did not leave with the American Marines, that Guy forces would kill him. And so they took him and flew him to the Central African Republic. Aristide said he had no doubt that they were going to kill him. But fortunately, beloved brothers and sisters, a man by the name of Randall Robinson, founder and president or director of an organization called Trans-Africa. It was him and an American congresswoman, an African congresswoman by the name of Maxine Waters, and a Jamaican member of parliament named Sharon Hay Webster, who hired a plane, an aeroplane, and traveled to the Central African Republic and demanded that Aristide be handed over to them. That's how Aristide's life was saved. Aristide said he's convinced that if they didn't come to the Central African Republic, that he would have died in the Central African Republic. But listen to this. They brought him back to the Caribbean against the express wishes or presumed instructions of the Bush administration. Because George Bush had said Aristide must not come back to this hemisphere. And Randall Robinson apparently said to George Bush, whose hemisphere? And brought him back. And the Jamaican Prime Minister at the time, P.J. Patterson, welcomed him in Jamaica and gave him residence in Jamaica. But the American government now pressured the Jamaican government to say that Aristide can't stay in Jamaica. Can you imagine that?
So, brothers and sisters, you got that right. Yeah, Aristide was brought to Jamaica. Yes. And PJ Patterson, the Prime Minister at the time, welcomed him in Jamaica, and George Bush pressured the government of Jamaica to remove him. Now, what I want to do is show a snippet of how this impacted the people of Jamaica at the time. Yeah. Sorry, brothers and sisters. All right. And this is why I said that there's a little bit of bad language, but this is a stage show that took place in Jamaica in 2004, featuring two of the most prominent dancehall artists ever in the history of dancehall. Yes. Ninja Man and Beanie Man, brothers and sisters. All right. And check. Now they're performing, you know, they're in the midst of a performance, you know, to entertaining the people, and a conversation ensues with the two of them on stage. Listen to this.
Yeah, take up this one when you're Aristide and when you're Aristide. From here, man. I hate it. Yeah. But now when you don't try crosses. Yeah. I'm here listening to it. Yeah. And you can't do sense. Yeah. Them are country to take justice action against Jamaica. Them can't take justice action, bro. Yeah. Them cannot. I'm going to tell you why. They cannot. I'm going to tell you, man, why. Why? Don't worry. Why don't worry? Yeah, you know? Yeah, why? Listen carefully. Yeah, I'm listening to you. So we don't run like it, like them, we don't weak like Adam. We don't know nuclear, we don't know missile and bomb. Oh, we don't know America. Keep you up America. We don't know fucking joke. God, we say nuclear weapon. No, I think it's I'm telling you something. Jamaica have all right to give refuge to whosoever they want to give. Well, no, Aristide is not a Taliban. He's not a terrorist. He's a prime minister that run out of the country. Even though we don't need him here. We don't want him here. But America cannot take drastic action on here. You know why? You know why? You know why? You know why? All Jamaica are ready for defend Jamaica. I'm not going to wait for no answer here. When you ready for defend Jamaica, let me ask them something. Push. How would you feel if you wake up one morning and a big M16 and flat? You feel like your heart is a clear because of your son, we don't work with it. Wow, you alone can't go there. Don't fight Bush them. I hear me. We can't tell Bush something. Tell Bush. If him cross the bridge.
So Beanie Man and Bounty Killer, sorry, Beanie Man and Ninja Man are on stage. And Ninja Man has just said to Beanie Man, we have a crisis to deal with. Yeah? And the crisis is that PJ Patterson bring this boy named Aristide come out of the country with him crosses. Yes? I ain't got time to explain what crosses mean, but crosses, all right? And basically he's saying that him hear George Bush on the television, I say, America, I consider to take drastic action against Jamaica. He goes on to drop a lyric about the fact that basically Jamaica is not Taliban and Bin Laden and them now on a M16 and no big nuclear bomb and all them thing there. And so he wants Aristide to leave. Yeah. And then Beanie Man has to respond that basically we don't want Aristide there neither, but America can't tell we where to do. Now listen to this, brothers and sisters. Ninja Man is the original front teeth, gold teeth, chicken bone, inner teeth, gun gargan, Batman. Yes? In a dancehall. He comes on the stage and is concerned about the fact that because of the presence of Aristide in Jamaica, in freeing America, going to take drastic action against the people them. And this is the scare. I put this here to highlight the fear-mongering that these nations engage in, whereby our people become afraid to stand on principle for fear of an incursion, brothers and sisters. I'm going to move on very quickly because time is a precious gift from the Creator. All right. There was a video of Aristide. I'm going to skip this for the sake of time. Okay. Now, this is a picture of what is called the core group. The man.
ShakaRa?
Yes, sir.
ShakaRa?
Yes, sir.
No, go back. I'm going to give you the extra time. Don't worry, King. This is so brilliant what you're doing tonight, brother. I don't want you cutting it out. I don't want you leaving anything out, brother. This is bloody brilliant. Forgive my language. Bloody brilliant. Carry on.
Much appreciated, brother. I promise you, I won't take advantage either. All right. And so this is a brief video, just so you can hear the voice of Jean-Bertrand Aristide himself. This is in 2010, shortly after the earthquake that hit Haiti in 2010. All right. And at this point, I should have said, after he was removed from Jamaica, he was exiled in South Africa and spent 2004 to 2011 exiled in South Africa. Listen.
You know, people in Haiti and abroad keep asking the same question, and people want to know, when do you intend to go back to Haiti? It's been 6 years now. I mean, what prevents you from going back?
I think that I see the picture. The picture is that in Haiti, we have the same people who organized the invasion of 2004 after kidnapping me to put me in Africa. And they are still there. 8,900 soldiers or so, plus 4,400 police officers, more or less, spending 51 million US dollars a month in a country where 70% of the population have less than $1 a day to live. That means it's a paradise for them. Once we had the colonization of Haiti, now we have a kind of neo-colonial occupation. So they don't want me to be back, from my point of view, because they still want to occupy Haiti. Before the coup, I was calling for dialogue, such a way to have inclusion, not exclusion, to have cohesion, not explosion of the social structures. They decided to go for a coup, and the result is from bad to worse. The return is part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Practically now, what has to be done for you to be able to return?
The Swahili proverb saying, mapenzi ni kikohozi, hayawezi kufichika. Love is like cough, you cannot hide it. I love my people, my country, I cannot hide it. And because of that love, I am ready to live right now.
So that's a little taste of Jean-Bertrand Aristide. He's returned to Haiti in 2011, shortly after the devastating earthquake. There's a whole history behind that we won't have a lot of time to get into today, brothers and sisters. But just note, yeah, that in 2004, after they ousted Aristide, they instituted this thing called the core group. And what we see here is the core group members surrounding the man in the middle, who is Jovenel Moïse, yes, who is the president of Haiti, who was assassinated in 2021, brothers and sisters. And the core group, for our information, was a U.S. established, and I should say is, because it still exists, was established by the UN Security Resolution, and it is a resolution. It is chaired by the UN Special Representative to Haiti, and also includes representatives from Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, Spain, the European Union, the United States, and the Organization of American States. The group presents itself as providing advice on how to resolve Haiti's socio-economic and political crisis and improve democracy in the country. Its critics, including former Special Envoy to Haiti, Daniel Foote, have accused it of undemocratic meddling in Haiti's affairs, including supporting former President Jovenel Moïse and his administration's descended into despotism. They also backed Prime Minister designate Ariel Henry to become Prime Minister over the interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph and Senate leader Joseph Lambert. Foote has also accused the group of prioritizing the stability of the country over Haitian popular will. So from 2004 onwards, this core group took control of Haiti and has been installing puppet presidents in the country from that time until now. This is a picture of Hillary Clinton and Michel Martelly, who became president of Haiti in 2011, yes? And he was installed by the core group, but directly by Hillary Clinton, who literally flew to Haiti from somewhere in the Arab world. I can't remember where she was, because it was the Arab Spring, so-called, at that time. Flew to Haiti directly to have an influence over the election. And as a part of her machinations, it was said directly that Family Lavalas, the most popular party in the country, was not allowed to stand for that election that brought the presidency of 2011 onwards, brothers and sisters. They directly blocked the most popular party in the country from standing for election. And so Hillary Clinton is said to have a very, very close relationship with Michel Martelly. He's also known as Sweet Mickey. And apparently, Hillary Clinton, I don't know if this is true, not my business, but Hillary Clinton was very well aware of the full extent of Mickey's sweetness. Mickey was willing to make himself a side piece for a Clinton, brothers and sisters, in more ways than one. But again, we don't know, not my business. What I do know, however, is that a thing called the Ottawa Initiative was convened in 2003. And this conference was hosted in Canada and basically was hosted to decide the future of Haiti's government. No Haiti officials were in this meeting, and this meeting gives birth to the core group, brothers and sisters, okay? So now, bear in mind what I've said about the fact that they began to fund, using the Haiti elite, to fund violence within the country. This is the birth of what we are considering today as this so-called gang issue. And you will notice that I've got the word gang in quotes, because every activist from Haiti that I've spoken to about this issue said that these formations should not be considered gangs. They should be called what they are, which is armed and funded paramilitary units, brothers and sisters, because they are made up of former police officers, former army officers, former Tonton Makut and Ganmedere. Sorry, Grandami. Brothers and sisters. These are people who are armed, but not only armed, trained. Yes? So when them tell you about gangs taking over the country, note that these people who are in these formations have been given money and arms by the Haitian elite who are funded by America. Let it be known. And these are some of the examples of the gangs. In fact, this brother of the 5 Second Gang, Izzo, is on camera saying who gave him his arms and what they told him to do in 2003 to get rid of Aristide, brothers and sisters. Yes? And I put this headline here because we see a headline. This is from The Hill, which is a news channel in America. And it says, Thug Life in Haiti. And we see the characterization here. The term gang is being used for 2 purposes. They only use the term gang like this when they are referring to black bodies. Yes? So it's a racist caricature that we can definitely see solidified because they borrowed this terminology, thug life, from hip-hop culture and imposed it on the situation in Haiti. But it's also designed to distract from the fact that these groupings, these paramilitary groupings, have been given funds from the Haiti elite, including the government, brothers and sisters. The Haiti elite. This is a few examples of the Haiti elite. Gilbert Bijot. Yes, this is the Haiti elite, brothers and sisters. You didn't hear me wrong. Renaud Deeb and Sheriff Abdallah. These big businessmen, enough of them have Haitian citizenship, but them live in Florida. And all of the arms that are coming into Haiti from Florida. The one, Gilbert Bijot, is a Zionist and is some kind of honorary consul to Israel. And it's rumored, I don't know if this is true enough, but it's rumored that he has Mossad security in Haiti, when he's in Haiti. Mossad is the Israeli CIA, brothers and sisters. So that we see how this issue is connected to Agwan in Gaza and Palestine right here now. I'm nearing the end. We're nearly there, brothers and sisters. I'm nearing the end. So what's happening at the moment is that we have an elite that is funding paramilitary groups. And they had these paramilitary groups aligned with politicians, political forces in Haiti. And they began to war each other in that context. And in that context began to terrorize the people of Haiti. Under Jovenel Moïse and Ariel Henry, who was the president most recently that had to step down because of the uprisings of the people. People began to protest against these 2 individuals because they were not installed by the Haiti people. They were installed by the core group. And their policies began to negatively affect the Haiti people. For example, one of the only subsidies, as in the government paying for the production of a particular asset, yes, was the fuel subsidy, that basically the fuel production was funded by the government. And under Jovenel Moïse, he removed the fuel subsidy. As a result, inflation went up in the country ×4 or something like that overnight. So for example, if you was paying 50 pence for the bus today, tomorrow you pay £2. Easy. Just so. So all of this began to create unrest in the country. Millions of people began to come into the streets to protest against the regimes in power. And the regimes in power would fund paramilitary groups to go and shoot up the demonstrations and the protests and the masses of the people. And these men are the ones who are arming the people directly. Brothers and sisters. So now, Moise is assassinated. Time doesn't allow to go into the details of that. There's a whole heap of different confusion there at the same time. But then when he's assassinated, the American government now installed Ariel Henry. And most of the Haitian people, there's a big joke. They said they found out who their president was on Twitter. Them never know what it go on. Them just wake up and find out, say, yeah, this is the president. No. Uprisings against him to the point whereby he is now exiled from the country. Yeah, now bearing in mind that there's warring factions. Some of the factions that were warring were forces that were loyal to Moise and forces versus forces that were loyal to Henri. Okay? And so Henri is now exiled from the country. Illegitimate already, brothers and sisters. So what's happening is that they're using this gang issue to try and create a pretext for invading Haiti, occupying Haiti, and again taking control of the political decision-making as far as Haiti moving forward. But the people of Haiti, them no want no more foreign intervention and nothing stay so. And unfortunately, the Americans have been running around the world looking for black faces to front their agenda in Haiti recently, brothers and sisters. They were trying to get Kenya to go on with that thing. Yes, and then brothers and sisters in Kenya who are in the legal profession took a case against the Kenyan government to say that it's against the Kenyan constitution for Kenya to receive this money from America to send its police force to Haiti. Can't go on. Yes? And then in the midst of all of that, they managed to get Henri over to Kenya to try and, create some deal. Whilst he was there, the country flares up and he agreed to step down. So then the US government now and Canada and the rest of them turned to CARICOM, the Caribbean community. And the Caribbean community met last month and agreed to create what is called a presidential council to return Haiti back to democracy. But they met and they invited certain Haiti forces to the table. But the proviso for any of the Haitian forces that wanted to come to this table, to be part of this process, was that they had to accept foreign intervention in the nation. They had to agree to America's intervention procedure as headed by Kenya or Brazil or anybody who America chose. They had to agree to this before they were allowed to come to the table, brothers and sisters. And so that is what we are at right now. Just a few days ago, CARICOM put out a statement in regards to their presidential council initiative. And so there is all kinds of conversation taking place at the moment about this. And as director of gotkushTV, I'm hosting certain conversations because we must get to the bottom of this, brothers and sisters. As you can tell, I'm not a fan of CARICOM in this moment in relation to what they're doing, because I believe that the collusion with America and Canada and the United Nations is a sellout of the Haitian people. And I'll give you an example as to why. Yes? The core group was, as I've already said, was governed by the United Nations. The United Nations were in Haiti directly from 2004 to 2017, brothers and sisters, directly. They removed most of their forces in 2017. And ever since then, two realities have sprung up. The first is that cholera has found itself on the island for the first time in over 200 years. Over 10,000 people have died of cholera in Haiti since 2004 with the UN intervention in the nation. Over 1 million have been infected with the cholera. And it is known, and the UN has accepted at least some culpability, although not full culpability, for the fact that it was their troops and representatives that brought the cholera to Haiti because they were defecating in rivers and streams and poisoning the water sources in Haiti. No reparations, no restitutions, not even full responsibility on the part of the United Nations. The other reality that has come to light is that there are now thousands of children in Haiti that have been born of mothers who have been subject to sexual violence and rape on the part of these UN troops. Tens of thousands of children, and I've even seen estimates of hundreds of thousands, over 100,000, I should say. The United States, Canada, the United Nations have no moral standing to lead or be a part of any process in Haiti. The only thing they should be a part of is admitting and accepting culpability for their crimes and being brought to justice. And as far as I'm concerned, CARICOM should be leading that charge on behalf of the Haiti people and not bringing America and the United Nations as though they have legitimate say after the crimes that they have committed in Haiti up until this point, brothers and sisters. I'm hosting a conversation on gotkushTV, and I promise you, I'll be far more diplomatic and impartial than I've just been when I'm questioning our good brother, Ambassador David Commisong, who is the Barbados representative at CARICOM. And then we're going to have a panel after I speak to brother David Commisong of analysts who are going to analyze CARICOM's position and the word sounds of brother David Commisong himself. That's on gotkushTV, brothers and sisters. And also, so I'm in a series at the moment on gotkushTV. We're dealing with We Stand With Ayiti, yes, which is why that is the title of our presentation today. And we've got many conversations coming after our conversation on CARICOM and Haiti. We're going to be talking to our sister, who's a human rights lawyer, among many other things, a daughter of Haiti, Mama Ezeli Danto. I'm also going to be speaking to a lawyer from Jamaica who is going to be talking to us about the issue of migrants from Haiti to other Caribbean islands, how they're being treated by the government, how they're being treated by the people, and what we should be doing to represent them. I'm going to be speaking to historians who are going to break down the history of Haiti in the 1800s and why it was economically made unstable. And many other conversations, brothers and sisters, because we need to delve into and stay on and represent the voices of the people of Haiti. So I urge brothers and sisters, because it's an ongoing issue. As you can see, a lot of things are in flux. It's an ongoing issue. To join me on gotkushTV, if you do one thing, well, not just one thing, support all the brothers and sisters that have been mentioned earlier. Go to their website, follow them on social media, donate, yes, and contribute to all of their endeavors, brothers and sisters. But I'm asking you also, in addition to that, to check out gotkushTV on all of our social media, particularly our YouTube channel. If you are not subscribed to gotkushTV, subscribe to gotkushTV. We also hosted a conversation the other day on what is taking place in Senegal with the election of our brother Faye, President Faye, and Prime Minister Sonko. Just the other day, we were speaking to brothers and sisters in Senegal in relation to that. So there's many conversations that we're doing in terms of building this independent Pan-African media platform. And at the moment, we are staying focused on this issue of Haiti. So if you want further updates beyond what I've gone into in this presentation, please stay tuned to gotkushTV. Follow us on our Instagram and our YouTube in particular. And finally, this is the flag of the Empire of Haiti as designated under Papa Jean-Jacques Dessalines, brothers and sisters, the first. And I would like to suggest that if we are going to liberate and free the people of Haiti, we need a resurrection of what is referred to, what Dessalines referred to as the irritated genie, the fighting spirit of African people all around the world in defense of our people in Haiti. And with that, I say to you, Tendai Mwadi, we're thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe. Kudzai, Mozima Mokolo. We give praises unto our great ancestors, Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahodi, African power and African liberation for all African people. Aibobo, Bon Komba, Aibobo, Bon Komba, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.